All right, the deep dive. Not sure what episode number this is. Rose, Nekkra. Happy International Women's Day, by the way. That
Hi,
is
thank you.
today, the 8th of March. Just to give a timestamp, I always tend to give a timestamp because these get released a little bit later. But Rose, I'm glad you're here. You're my 2022. Yep, that was the year. Casting a partner for Overwatch League, and I wanted to bring you on because I think a lot of people would love to know a little bit more about you. Obviously, with casting last year for the Overwatch League and a Pokemon head and a TFT head as well, it will be an interesting deep dive into yourself and how you grew up and everything else. How are
Sure.
you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I actually didn't even know that it was International Women's Day.
Oh, there you
I
go.
still don't really know what day it is. I went to Australia a month ago and I feel like I'm still there. My sleep schedule is non-existent right now. It's awesome.
That
Don't know.
the
How
Australia
is it
flight is like degenerate. Like it is a
so
crazy long flight.
hard?
How far is it? It's got to be like 16, 17 hours from where you live, right?
It's like 24 to 26 hours.
Ooh, okay.
Well, it's like you have to consider the layovers, right? And then I
Oh
also
yeah.
did 3 flights. So I think from
Three.
LA to Australia, it was like 16, 18, 16.
Christ, you did three. So you did two
Yeah.
layovers. Where flew from Philly to.
Like Minneapolis. No, the first one was to Chicago, and
Oh,
then it was
okay.
Chicago to San Francisco, and then San Francisco to Melbourne.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my
And then it was a different
God.
flight on the way home, but it worked out fine.
I mean that
I was
is
trying to get stuck there.
wild. You did?
I didn't.
Oh, you
I know
didn't.
people
I
that
was gonna
did
say.
though. I know people that did. I felt so bad.
Was that weather warning or was that just kind of
No,
plane breaking down?
it was the plane breaking down. So the production crew, it was the production crew, which is the worst part. The
Oh,
production crew flew in from Dallas because they're the ones that do all of the Pokemon events for the circuit. And so they flew in from Dallas and they were supposed to fly home so that the next day they could get over to Knoxville, which was
oh
the
wow.
next event.
Next
So
day.
I did it back to back, which was horrendous. But they missed their flight because the plane engine like broke. So there was just no plane.
That is the worst thing to happen on you're expecting an 18, 20 hour flight to somewhere and the
Yeah,
plane breaks down, adding another few hours to your journey. That is disgusting. Because you competed in the Pokemon regional in Oz, right?
I
Or was,
didn't compete on at that one. I competed the one in Liverpool and
oh, that
then
was it.
I just cast it for the Oceania one.
How did you do in Liverpool?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Quite easy to
No,
tell about what happened there.
I went 1-5 drop. There was a
Okay.
technical difficulty during one of the rounds that I was playing. I was already down like 1-2, and then by the time that the fourth round came around, someone had kicked the end of the table, and so all of the people
Ooh.
that were left, we all disconnected. And so Judge came over and he was like, the only way that we can really solve this is that you both had 3 Pokemon remaining. So we'll enter sudden death mode. You have to regame, and whoever takes the first knockout wins.
That's rough.
So I just got super mental boomed after that point, and I couldn't finish out the day.
That is rough. Like right in the middle of a set too, and like not
Yeah.
anybody's fault. Like nudging into a
Yeah,
table or
like it's not
whatever.
the person's fault for kicking the table, and
Yeah.
it's no one's fault for the tech not working right, I
Also,
guess.
kicking a table and everybody DCing at the same time. Like, come on. That's
Yeah,
rough.
it's like
That's real rough. I
oh
ruined a lot of
well.
people's days, including yours, I would imagine. Let's jump back to
Yeah.
the very beginning of time. That's okay. Let's
Okay.
not talk that far back. Let's talk about like your early kind of gaming experience because I do this with everybody, and I really find it fun to talk about like what's your earliest competitive memory or like your gaming memory. Were you always kind of were you like myself like Game Boy Color original Game Boy gamer back in the day? What was your first games console that you owned?
So I actually had a Game Boy Advance was as my first gaming console. I skipped like the whole just like regular Game Boy and like Game Boy Color era
Oh, okay.
because like my parents just didn't I think understand video game tech. So it was an N64 and a Game Boy Advance. And the very first game I ever played was Pokemon Crystal.
Ooh,
I like that
banger.
was it. That was the one.
It's most people's favorites. Crystal,
Yeah.
Emerald, everything that's like, gold and silver. Yeah, we'll just release Crystal.
I was so
Crystal was
spoiled.
amazing game. What was your favorite game on your 64?
I think oh man, Pokemon Stadium is the one that sticks out to me the most. But I feel like it was writing on the wall very early on, having Pokemon Crystal as my very first Pokemon game experience, and then seeing like Pokemon Stadium, which was ultra fun. I was like, I'm going down this rabbit hole that I will never be able to get out of.
It's great. Did you ever imagine as a kid growing up like that with Crystal playing Stadium and stuff that you'd be here where you are right now, like with
Oh
a
God,
wall of
no.
Pokemon things behind you, being able to afford with your own money that you earn that you could buy all the Pokemon things you want?
No, if you had told me that when I was a kid, I would be like, aha, you're joking. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I was also super into being outdoors, and so I didn't ever see myself becoming a degenerate gamer where all I would do
Okay.
is sit in my computer and play video games all day. But here we are. Uh, but it was a fun part of my childhood. My brother was such a big part of my love of video games. We used to play a lot together. We used to play like Mario Kart or Mario Party. Even like my parents would get involved, and so that was always really fun. Watching my dad and my brother play GoldenEye on the
Sick.
N64 or
Sick.
GameCube, I guess. Um, it got me to really appreciate family time, just being able to enjoy the different games together. And so when I play now, I can't help but think really fondly about my brother getting me involved and just also remembering such good times with my dad and my mom also being involved.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it takes really is a sibling just to kind of be like,
Yeah.
hey, look at this thing. And you're like, oh, what's that? I'm the older brother. So like it was me to my brother, I suppose. But yeah, you're just like, oh, that's cool. And then that's it. Life over. You are now a gamer. It's too late.
Like
You
so
can't come
so
back.
what was it with you and your younger brother? Like what was it that you wanted to share with him and video gaming?
Oh, we shared very rarely. God, if my mum
Oh,
was on this podcast, Jesus, she would. Yeah, she has some stories to tell. But like, just Pokemon. I think, which, funnily enough, right? Pokemon Red, him overwriting my save file.
no
Yeah, that
way.
that was rough. That was rough. Although thinking back to it, I was a dumb kid. I was one of those that, yeah, I picked Charmander straight up, and yeah, only leveled up to Charizard, and that was it. Didn't level anything else. I remember having a Rhyhorn that was level 23 as I entered the Pokemon League for the first time, and my Charizard was level like 70 to 80 or something, because this is the only thing I used. And then you're like, oh, Bruno's pretty sweet. Oh, yeah, he's got rock Pokemon. GG. You just can't win. I just never beat the league, so he overwrote my save, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my Pokemon journey, because I formed a good team, so
Oh,
yeah,
good.
it's always the siblings that kind of change the course of your history, I suppose. You
I
spoke.
think
You
I
said
was
you're.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens, right? I mean, that's just what they're there for in a way. You said you're a big outdoors kid when you were
Yeah.
younger. Did you
I
do like was
was.
it sports or?
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. My parents tried. My parents tried so hard to get me into sports. I tried softball. I couldn't hit the ball to save my life. I couldn't catch the ball either. I closed my eyes every time I saw like a sports ball coming my direction. So whether it was like a tennis ball, I played tennis for a while, a softball because someone was throwing it at me, or like a football, I would literally like put my hands up and like close my eyes because I was so scared of getting hit by the ball that I just didn't want to look at it and I didn't want it to hit me.
It's complete anti-sports. No
Yeah.
sports.
Oh God, no. Which is crazy because when I got older, I actually got really involved in sports, but it was not ball
Oh,
sports.
what
That
kind of
makes
sports was
any
it?
sense. So I grew up dancing. I was
Oh, okay.
a competitive dancer for a while, focusing mostly on like ballet and point.
Oh,
And then like
wow.
I had a back injury when I was swimming, so I had to stop all of that. And I transitioned to do swimming more when I healed. And then, do we count marching band as a sport? Because I feel like it
Mm,
could be. It
maybe.
depends. I guess it depends on the level.
Yeah,
But
I guess, yeah, if you're doing it at the top level, it's a sport, right? But then if you're lower level, it's probably just like more musical instrument. Wait, you played a musical instrument though in marching band?
Yeah, I did. I actually grew up playing piano, and then
Oh,
when I
cool.
got to high school, I transitioned to it also, I guess, include flute and piccolo. I was the annoying
Ooh,
person,
the
which
flute
checks out.
person. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Were you ever any good at it, or was it like a childhood instrument where you have one friend that's really good, or like you have a couple of friends that like are into this thing, and then you pick it up, and then you just kind of give up? Was it kind of like that, or were you like near top of your class kind of thing?
For piano, I would consider that was actually like a promising avenue. If I had wanted to go to
Oh, cool.
music school, I might have been able to do that with piano. But for flute, I think it was more that it was fun
Okay.
and I didn't really see it going anywhere. It was sort of a means to an end of getting mostly music classes in high school.
Right. Just
I
classes
think I
you
had like
have to kind of
three.
pass, and they're kind of easy because you're good at instruments anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of.
that's an
Work
easy one.
smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's God. That is so true. That is so. 80% of the outcome comes from 20% of the effort. Like that's a rule to live by, the 80-20 rule. So when you were in high school, was there like a career path you were going towards after that, or was it you didn't really know and you were kind of dabbling in a few things?
So I really was thinking about going to music school. I had been taking lessons literally every week since I was 5. Like
Wow.
it just seemed like it was an open door. I just had to walk through it and put my mind to it if I really wanted to make it work. And then I realized that the music world just doesn't really have enough stability where you could be as good as you want, but it's I guess it's like kind of like casting in a way. You can have the foundation, but it's about how you market yourself and what you do with it that really makes you stand out from literally all of the other wannabe pianists out there that want to do concert or weddings or gig or whatever what you have. And I was like, I don't like that. Like that's not my personality. At least at the time, I was like, I don't really like the fact that I can't see a benchmark or a goal and I can't go after it. So I really wanted to go into science. And so
Oh,
when
cool.
competing in like science fair and stuff in school, I started in middle school really developing this love for science after just all of my time outdoors. I was like, well, why are we not protecting like these beautiful places? What is it that I could do maybe to help alter the course of where things are trending at the moment? And so that was like what I decided to go for school for when I went to college.
What was the subject? Was it kind of environmental science?
Way, I did something really funny where I had an environmental science major, but
Oh,
I
okay.
also branched out and I didn't end up completing the requirements to get minors in these things. I think I was like 1 or 2 classes away, but I did a big focus on plants, water chemistry, so like
Ooh.
geochemistry
Okay.
and just other forms in that direction, analytical too. And then I also did like wildlife, so I had like fish as a big
Hell yeah.
as a big interest point. And then I also did just kind of yeah, I guess more plant stuff. So I like to boil it down to fish, rocks, and plants as what I studied in
Fish,
college.
rocks, and plant. Honestly, that's quite diverse, to be fair. There's a ton of fish, and there's a ton of water on this earth, and there's a ton of plants both in and
Exactly.
out the water. So there you go.
Yeah.
That covers a lot of bases. Is that something you pursued as well, leaving university? You finished, I assume?
I
Did
did
you end up
finish.
finishing? Okay.
Yeah, I did. So I finished like maybe a half semester later than everybody else. I wanted to finish my studies at this like biological station in
Hmm.
the middle of nowhere, Michigan.
Okay.
Uh, it was like one of my favorite times because you were able to like get out in the field and actually study the courses that you wanted to take. So if we were doing a fishes class, we'd literally go out, catch fish, study them, release them back into the wild, or do experiments with them and then release them.
That's cool.
It was really neat to have that as an opportunity. So that's how I finished. And then I had a few paths after that. While I was over the summer, I actually had applied to a bunch of PhD programs because I was at a point in my life where in the US here, you can actually do your PhD program and get paid to do it because you get a
Oh,
certain
okay.
amount of money as a stipend versus a master's program. Most of the time, they won't give you that much. You'd have to pay your own way to get through it. But
Right.
if you do a PhD program, you get the money. And if you so happen to drop out after 2 years, you still get your master's. So I was like, best of both worlds. I could just skip the master's program and go straight into
Hell yeah.
PhD.
And you get some
Uh,
moolah as well.
exactly. So it's not too financially detrimental. And if I wanted to go in academia anyway, you need a PhD to do that. So it felt like it was the right move at the time. I had gone through the application process and actually the interview process for a lot of these places, and I wasn't going
Ah.
to enroll until the year after because I had missed the boat from doing that summer semester to enroll by the fall. So all of my interviews happened the calendar year surrounding that. I ended up getting a few offers, but it was
Oh, great.
also around the same time that my parents, I had some family life stuff happen at home, and I apologize in advance if this is very heavy. I
No,
don't look at it
go
this
right
way
ahead.
anymore, but my parents had passed away during the 6-month period right after I had graduated.
Wow.
So
Sorry to
my
hear
mom
that.
had terminal cancer, and so she passed away first, right after I graduated. So she was able to see that, but she didn't live too much longer after that point. And then
Yeah.
I think like my dad legitimately just died of heartbreak. Like he had a heart
Wow.
attack 6 months after, almost to the day. Um,
Damn.
and so I decided I didn't want to be a PhD student anymore because
Yeah.
my life was already depressing. I didn't need the 6 years to be on
The
top
extra
of that
6 years
too.
on top.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, well, obviously, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's good that you're kind of in a place now where you can talk about that. That's obviously fantastic. And they saw you graduate too, right? So that's kind of
Yes.
nice. So at least that kind of
Yes.
memory is there too, which is great. So when you decided, you know what, it's not the best thing for me right now. What was your kind of thought process there? Because you clearly had avenues where you could go. You could even, I guess, you could even, if you really wanted to, go back to music and kind of pursue that path if you really wanted to. What kind of happened after that? Did something trigger you to go into like esportsy things or games? Because obviously it is a big part of your life now. So
It's a
what?
very big pivot.
Yeah, exactly. What was kind of the transition point there between you deciding not to follow that career path and then kind of moving elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of different things. I think the first part of it was that I literally had just identified going into a PhD program and committing 6 years of my life just felt like the wrong thing to
Right.
do. 6 years is such a long amount of time, and also having horror stories already from my friends that are in their first year
I
and
bet.
absolutely hate it. I'm like, I don't think that I want that. That doesn't sound very fun. So let's not do that for myself. Um, but in college, it actually played a lot of competitive games. It's
Okay.
actually when I started to play competitive VGC, and I also used to play competitive Hearthstone. I was on the TESPA
Oh,
team.
right.
So,
Oh, the TESPA team. Oh, no way. Okay, that's sick.
yeah, what a
Damn.
throwback.
That's what year was that? Because what generation of Pokemon was that?
So that was Oros. Yeah, Omega
Okay,
Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. That was when I started playing.
nice.
Um,
Is that something you'd always been kind of interested in getting into, or is it just kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool actually? Maybe I try that.
so no, I never knew that there was a competitive circuit for Pokemon until my friends in college, out of the blue, were like, "Oh, we're driving down to Indianapolis for the national championships. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "The what?
Okay.
For Pokemon? What are you talking about?" And so that was the first event that I went to where I was like, "Oh my God, there's this whole group of people that come here to play Pokemon and celebrate their love for the game.
Damn.
That is super freaking cool. Why have I not heard about this before?" And so after that event in 2014, I did the circuit for 2015. I played a little bit in 2016, and then Dark Void Smeargle ruined my life, and so I stopped. Um,
Okay, elaborate
so
on Dark Void Smeargle because some people might not be like
oh
too into
man.
Pokemon or fans around that time. Elaborate what that goes into.
Oh, what is there? How much time do I have? I can boil it down to two things. Dark Void was a move that Smeargle got that was basically like a 100% accurate, put both Pokemon to sleep on the opposing side. Believe it was the signature attack of Darkrai, but since Darkrai is a mythical Pokemon, it will literally never be allowed in the actual competitive scene. So people were like, Smeargle's great. Smeargle gets access to Crafty Shield. It also gets access to a lot of other really great moves. And so Dark Void Smeargle was a huge piece of a lot of people's strategies to like cheese their way through a bad matchup or something like that. And it's just fun. If you get put to sleep, you have a mandatory turn of sleep that you have to take. And so there's one
Yeah,
turn
that's
that you can
very
literally
boring.
do nothing. And then it's just hope and pray that your Pokemon wakes up and is able to do something after the fact. But sometimes you get max sleep turns and you're just absolutely
You just
screwed.
lose and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you just lose. So I wasn't a good enough player at the time to actually figure out a way. I hate this Pokemon, if you can't tell. Uh, Choking me up over here. But I wasn't a good enough player to identify how to beat the strategy. And so with also trying to finish up schooling around that time and trying to apply to PhD programs, it was like I just need to take a break from this and I'll come back to it if I feel like it or if I find the time. So I didn't find the time until I'd actually identified, wait, okay, maybe not PhD program, but what else in my life makes me happy? I need that right now, right? I just
Right.
want something that's going to make me feel better. And video games became a huge escape at the time. Not only was it really fun, but it brought back so many positive memories of the time that I had spent with my family playing these games. It brought back my love of competition. I've always been a hyper competitive person, whether it was sports or whatever extracurriculars I was doing, competing in Pokemon or Hearthstone. And so I found my way to video games again, and I started competing and I started to look at other ways to enjoy it. And one of those ways ended up being casting.
Damn. Well, that is definitely a line like, hey, look, I need something, an outlet right now, and then, hey, video games are here. I think a lot of people find a lot of comfort in video gaming in general because it's something you can kind of sit down on your own or with other people and just kind of hang out and chill and just forget about the real world, which is great. That's definitely a cool path to go. And then, like you said, you found casting, right? We'll skip back quickly because let's talk about Hearthstone real quick because you said
Yeah.
you're on the Tespa team. What? Oh man, I'm trying to think around that time. What was the not meta, but like what were the decks that were out? Because there was one
Oh
point I was playing
man.
Hearthstone all the time, and I exclusively played Jade Golem when that was a thing. I only played Jade Golem. It was the funnest strategy of all time. And after Jade Golem rotated out, I was like, meh. Like, what kind of got you into competitive Hearthstone or like Hearthstone in general?
So that was actually Jade Golems were after I had competed in Tespa.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like old school Hearthstone over here. I didn't play it when it had originally come out, so I think I missed the boat by roughly a year.
Right.
But by the time that I ended up playing not Freeze Mage, Mech
Oh,
Mage was
Mech
like
Mage.
my deck. That was
Right.
the one. I was super good at it. I just like basically one tricked it on the ladder.
Hell yeah.
But it was so fun, and I also found a love for just like aggro decks in general. So I was playing a lot of Zoolock. I was playing a lot of Face Hunter. Um, and I essentially like Tespa's great because it was a team of three where you all got to sit down and play together. And so that could be a pro or a con depending on the people that you're playing with, but in the most cases it was a pro because if you were piloting the deck, you had two other people to sit next to you to say, "Have you considered this option?"
Yeah. That's cool.
Looking 3 4 turns ahead, like we could really help each other to get better at the game overall. So I loved competing in Tespa. I loved Hearthstone. I still play like every once in a while, but I'm so out of the loop right now on the meta that I actually just I don't think I'd be able to get back into it unless I had committed like a good month of just like grinding the game every day.
Yeah, I mean, you're missing a ton of cards too, right? If you jump back in when you've not played in a while, like, oh yeah, good luck, have fun.
5 expansions
Yeah,
out.
exactly, right. I mean, God, that's what kind of threw me off a little bit too. Was like, well, my J Golem deck has rotated out, and I don't want to buy new packs,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to stop playing. Maybe I'll come back to it. We'll see. We'll see. Did that kind
No.
of lead you on to your first casting gig from there? Because a lot of people when it comes to casting. They were either like a player or, well, not a player, but like they play casually or whatever, and were like, oh, that's pretty cool, and maybe I'll dabble in that. How did your like initial casting journey like start out? Was it Hearthstone or was it Pokemon?
So funny enough, it wasn't Hearthstone, but that came second.
Okay.
That came second. Um, my original approach to casting is actually it goes back to BlizzCon
Oh wow.
2018. And so when I was competing in TESPO, when I was competing in just like local VGC tournaments and some of the other ones in the Midwestern area, I didn't view them as esports. I was just going to play a game that I liked to play with other people that also liked to play that game. It was a competition to me, much akin to like a track meet or
Right.
a soccer game, right? Or I guess football game, however you want to put that. Just for you, I'll say football.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now I
But
understand fully.
yeah, see, there you go. Gotta put it in terms you get, Jaws. That's the thing.
That's true. That's our job, technically, right? We just put things in terms people understand. So there you go.
That's
Showing
so
off the skills.
true. It's amazing how I consider for English to be my first language sometimes. Um, I don't even know what I'm saying, but
Yeah, I think
anyway,
every caster ever. Do I speak English or do I speak another language completely that I only understand? I don't know.
I sometimes think that it's gibberish when I had a day yesterday, or maybe a few days ago, where I was trying to formulate full sentences and I just couldn't. I couldn't. No matter how hard I tried, I would miss a word or I would repeat myself or I would stutter because I'm like, I don't know what comes next after this.
That's a
What
back
is
to bed
English
moment.
grammar? Yeah,
Anyway, I'm going to go sleep now for another 18 hours so I
20
can
more
wake up
minutes.
tomorrow.
I'll be
Yeah.
back.
Jeez.
Reset
I
the
think we all
day.
get those days, but damn. I'm like, when I get those days, I'm like, my job relies on me speaking. Is this
Yeah.
have I finally hit my downward slope? Am I just like going to fall off a cliff now because I can't remember words anymore? Like,
Yeah, it was during a show, so that was not good.
okay, that's even worse
I
then.
love when that happens. It's really awesome. Can't do anything except let the train go and see if it
Yep.
falls off the tracks.
So
Hope it
when that
doesn't.
happens in a broadcast, it's just like, anyway, and you just kind of fall back to being like,
Moving
well,
on.
anyway, time to be the clown of the cast, or time to try and formulate a sentence somehow. God.
I think in those situations, you just have to make fun of yourself.
Yep.
Chat's gonna do it
Easiest
regardless,
way.
but if you beat them to it, then it's not so bad.
Yeah. That
That's
is
how
the
I see
British way.
it.
Just take the piss yourself and you're all good. You move on because everybody else has already taken the piss. So yeah, a
Oh
bit of
man,
humility, a bit of humility.
I love it. I love it.
So
Um,
you were competing in Hearthstone, obviously, and then
yeah.
you
Oh, right.
you thought about
BlizzCon. Oh my
BlizzCon,
god.
yeah.
This is just how my brain functions. Yeah, so BlizzCon 2018, that was the
Right.
first time I saw video game competitions as esports. That was when it first clicked for me. I had heard the term thrown around for a while, but it didn't really make any sense because I'm like, well, Pokemon doesn't have that. Like, we don't really have broadcasts, and for Tespa, we were never featured on a broadcast. So like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, what is this? It's just for fun, right? That nothing on the line really except to just have a good time. And so when I watched StarCraft 2, that was the first time I had really sat down to look at a game being showcased on the highest level possible. My jaw dropped
Oh
because
yeah.
I was just like, what in the world? Like the lights, these people all cheering for their favorite players. When a huge team kill comes through or an army kill, you're like, I'm so hyped for this. I have no idea what's happening, but the casters are making me excited. The crowd is making me excited. And the reaction on the players' faces, like you feel that. That is a full body experience. Um, and so I was like, wow, I'm so hyped. What's next? And then I found the Overwatch World Cup. And
Oh,
so
okay.
like I had wandered into the arena and I was watching like the United States team get their asses kicked. And I was like, well, this isn't good. Like, now I got to root for the people that kicked them out of the tournament. And so, like, we'll see how far this can go, right? Um, and so it was just really neat because that was another way that people could enjoy getting behind a team not knowing anything about the players that were there. Like I was so out of the loop when it came to Overwatch competition that like I see like the United States of America team and I go, that's my country. Like that's them. Like I got to root for them, right? And you know, it didn't really work out that year, but it was cool to be able to follow that story and still root for them years after that. In like 2019, do they finally get it? Like, does it finally
Does it finally
happen?
happen? Yeah. Every America Overwatch fan. Like, do we finally, do South Korea finally fall? Please? Korea, stop being so good at the game. Yeah.
Right? I'm actually looking it up right now because there was an Overwatch World Cup that I was at where America won.
Yeah.
They won the whole thing. And I'm sitting here like no way. Like no way is this
I think that was the
happening.
year Korea clowned. I'm pretty sure they were like, well, this is fun. We can win anyway. And then they just lost. That was
Yeah,
2019. I
that
casted
was
that year too.
yes.
So
Yes. I remember
we were at both
seeing
BlizzCons
you.
together, but we didn't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I was at 2018 as well because I went with Trid. And then 2019 I worked the World Cup. Damn, that's
Yeah.
weird.
It's really, really weird to think about because it was 2018 BlizzCon that kicked things off for me. And literally when I got home, I had already like talked to Mushu at Broadcast GG. They were
Oh yeah.
covering Open Division at the time. And so I got a foot in the door there. And this was after I'd already done a little bit of community broadcast work for a tiny tournament community called Owlet. We literally named
Oh,
it
okay.
that because it was a mini Overwatch league for gold, plat, and like silver players.
Oh wow, I didn't know that existed. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
No.
But um when it did, I community managed and I also like even before I got into casting as a whole, I tried multiple different things. I tried community management obviously for like the Outlet tournament. I also was doing social media. I don't know how this happened. I did talent management for a while. That
Oh.
was weird. I didn't even do any of that, so that was cool at the time. Weird, but I tried a lot of different stuff. I even tried producing or being behind the camera to
Oh
actually like
sweet.
get the shots, but it was casting that ultimately stuck. And so after Open Division, I got scouted actually to do a Hearthstone cast, and
Ooh,
that was my
cool.
very first paid gig, and it just kind of
Nice.
exploded from there.
Yeah, it just went on. How did you? So
Yeah.
that's funny because I would assume your Pokemon would have been your first kind of paid gig and your kind of entry in. When did that kind of
Yep.
slip into this like story now? Is it after? I'm assuming after Hearthstone at this point. But how long did it kind of take you
Yeah.
to get onto a Pokemon broadcast and be involved with that?
So I don't even I feel so strange talking about this because I feel like my journey is one that is unique in the way that it happened very, very quickly. And when I mean quickly, I mean I didn't start casting until early 2019.
Right.
I got paid almost immediately with the Hearthstone gig that I got scouted for. And then I had done a couple of community broadcasts for Pokemon at like Rutgers University. I got brought up to do a regional that I literally like flew myself to
Oh,
and
really?
booked a
Okay.
hotel room for because I just wanted to be able to get experience on a regional level because it wasn't with the official company at the time. And then not even a month later, I get contacted by the Pokemon company saying, "Hey, we have a spot available at the North American International Championships. Would you like to come cast?"
Wow. That is
And so that was my first
fast.
event.
Yeah. That's sick. That's really cool though. I mean, they clearly saw some kind of promise in you, and of course, like you are a great broadcaster. So it's like people clearly at some point are like, "Whoa, she's pretty sick." Like she fits the broadcast, chilling, and just like knows how to talk. So yeah, that's really cool. And obviously, at that point, I can imagine you would shit and bricks and being like,
I was like, "I don't know
"What?"
what happened. What like what?" Like you see
Yeah.
the price that they're gonna offer you too, and you're like, "I have never seen
Wait,
this much money
money?
in my
What is
life."
this?
Like
Wait,
for a gig, for one gig, for one singular gig.
yeah.
And it, to be fair, it wasn't as much as like what I would consider. It wasn't like what I would consider enough now,
Right.
which feels weird to say, but at the time, you look at that rate and you go, this could be
Huh?
a legitimate career. Like you look at
Hmm.
that and go, if this happens like 2, 3, or 4 times a month, I'm good. Like
I can, yeah, I can afford
I can
rent.
do this. Yeah, wow. Like I could actually make a living off of this. But it wasn't until I had that first gig, and not even after that. It was 3 or 4 times after that NAIC had happened where I went, this is it. This is my career now. I'm going to put all of my time and effort into being a broadcast talent because I could see everything starting to align at that point. Um, it felt like it made sense, and I'm so glad it's worked out so far.
Yeah. I mean, it's been good. Obviously, for those who don't know, me and Rose casted last year on the Overwatch League together. That was your first year in Overwatch League, which was sick.
It's so fun.
We fucking smashed it. It was easy clap. Like, and doing like live events too. What was your kind of first experience? Oh, I guess you, if you did university cups and stuff, it's you, that's like a live event of sorts. What was your like big though? Your big like first live event with like a crowd and whatnot? Was it Hearthstone? Was
NAIC
it Pokemon?
2019.
Right.
Well, I guess that was my first one with a crowd that I casted to.
Right.
Otherwise, like the big crowd would definitely be BlizzCon 2018,
Of
where
course.
that was like the oh my god, like Blizzard Arena going absolutely haywire. Um, but yeah, otherwise, like NAIC 2019 was neat because it was the first time that I was like standing to cast. I had a
Hmm.
whole desk. I was
Yeah.
like
I got a
behind the
headset. What the
scenes.
hell?
Yeah, like I got a
Yeah.
microphone. Like what in the world is happening right now? It was just so night and day different from the experience that I had had doing grassroots events or a remote broadcast where I had my like super crappy mic like headset duo combo for like if you were playing with friends on an
Oh hell
Xbox.
yeah.
Um,
I use my
like I look back at
A40s
some of those broadcasts
forever.
so bad.
Yeah, I know. It kills me inside. It didn't take me too long to like buy a mic, but like I casted with my fucking Astro A40s that I used to play like Black Ops 2 with,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that'll do. It's a mic. It
Yeah, that'll
talks.
that'll do. Like it was
Sure.
good enough because at the
Yeah.
time it's like why would you invest that money into getting better equipment if you couldn't see yourself using it for anything beyond like remote broadcast? I don't know.
Yeah.
That it
You
was
do
a
not
tough
need
sell.
a good mic. Like you need not like a McDonald's drive-through mic. That I hear in comp like daily. Like you don't have one of those, but don't also go out and buy the Sennheiser casting headsets that are like $400 or like a SM7B for $300. Like a good. I use a fucking AT2020, like an XLR AT2020. Like that was like $100. You don't
Yeah.
need anything crazy, just when you're starting
No.
out at least.
I went through like 4 iterations of microphones. I had my headset with the mic built in, which I actually love that headset. I really should get one again. It was great.
Which one was
The
it?
quality wasn't horrible. I think it was like a super like low bar Sennheiser.
Okay.
Um
I
yeah,
could.
it was like the gaming Sennheiser, like
Oh,
$40, like super
was it?
super cheap.
Yeah, the zero. Oh, the Sennheiser zero somethings because that headset
Something
and the
oh, that
mic was
sounds
kind of
familiar.
chunky,
Yeah.
kind
Like
of
it
chunky,
was
and it like clicks down.
yeah, it clicks
Yeah,
down and
yeah,
then when you
I know
click
exactly
back
the headset.
up, it mutes.
It mutes. Yep,
And
I know
yeah.
exactly the
Ah,
headset. The game, I think it's called the Game Zero. I think.
I must be.
Maybe I
I'm
chucked
looking
it
it up
out.
now.
I know where. I think I.
Oh,
I've got
is
one
it
of
the
my.
Game Zero? Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the Game
yes.
Zero
Oh
ones.
my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I had that headset
Yeah.
too. It's a good mic. That headset is like one of the better headset mics for that price range. Like it's pretty damn good.
It's really expensive now. Like this was when it was like the alpha products or whatever. Like I
Yeah,
swear to God, it was only $40. It's 180 now, so I don't recommend that.
180.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
180.
god. Okay,
Wow.
Sennheiser. Jesus.
Yeah, dang. Yeah, that's maybe not a headset I would totally recommend
Yeah.
at the moment, but it worked it when it worked, and then like I moved up to a blue snowball.
Oh, the classic. That's
The
a dude.
classic.
Every caster has been through a blue snowball. That's the rite of passage, Mike, right there.
Oh yeah. And like then I upgraded after I think it was a year later when I was starting to get more frequent gigs at home and I was like the blue snowball's not cutting it for me anymore. I'm going to go to the Audio Technica 2020 Plus. It
Yep.
wasn't the XLR, but it was the USB mic that
Good.
was really high quality sound. And so I said, "Well, that's good for the price." And now I have a Shure SM7B. So, that's
Classic, Mike. Yeah,
the history.
honestly, that is like I think most people's path. The snowball into the AT2020 into the Shure
My
SM7B. Like everybody does that. I'm not even there yet. I'm a cheapskate, but you can write it off on your taxes if you're casting, which is great. But XLR 720, A20, AT2020, that's fine by me. I don't mind that at all. Like
It still sounds great.
it's good,
So,
Mike.
hey, if it
I
ain't
can
broke,
talk
don't
into
fix
it, and I don't sound like a McDonald's drive-through worker. So yeah, I'm good. I'm big chilling right now.
Oh my
That's
God,
sick.
that's so
So
funny.
obviously then you kind of decided, hey, this is kind of a career path I want to go down. And with contender, let's talk about like early contenders then, or like trials and whatnot for Overwatch.
Sure.
We'll quickly go over that before we kind of talk about Overwatch League. How did that end up working out for you? Like, what was your first Overwatch gig? Apart from not first Overwatch gig, but first like paid opportunity within Overwatch.
Yeah, so I had done Open Division for 2 seasons at this point towards the end of 2019. And so it was really cool getting a chance to go back to BlizzCon at the end of that year because not only did the USA win the World Cup,
Hell yeah.
heck yeah, but that I was also really neat because I had also been following Contenders at that time and I was also following Overwatch League. So I was able to look at people like you, Trid, I saw Zoe, awestruck, freaking awestruck, looking at Zoe doing
So
her
he's the
thing
GOAT.
on the desk. Like, yeah, such a goat, and like such an inspiration to me. Just to see her find that type of success and like enjoy her job, like that passion really does come through. Not to say that you guys also don't have passion, but it's a little different. Like looking at
Yeah,
a
of
woman
course.
that has a job that
Definitely.
you would like to see yourself next to at a certain
Hmm.
point. And like obviously Mitch and Matt doing their thing, but it was like to see you all doing it in person, it gave me even more passion and drive to figure out how to get to a point like that. And so Overwatch League became easily one of the first goal jobs that I had in mind. I was
Right.
like, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get there. Because it was very clear there was established talent, and at this point, I was very, very like cognizant of the fact that like veterancy and experience count for a lot. You know, like that's very obvious. And when I compared myself to people like you and everyone else on the Overwatch League broadcast, I was like, oh God, I have a long way to go. Like I'm not nearly this professional. I am not nearly this controlled when it comes to speaking that I feel like I even fit amongst these people. So I hit the books when I got home. I VOD reviewed. I watched what I liked about you guys on the broadcast and I said, not to emulate this, but what is it that I like about them that I feel like naturally fits me and my casting style? And so very quickly after that, I did trials. I worked my way up to be an analyst on Chinese contenders,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
then I did a full season there. I think I did a full casting season for that as well. And then I got picked up to do the second half of the 2020. Yes, the second half of the 2020 season with Trid for EU and NA contenders.
Yes, you're right. You know what? I completely forgot you casted with. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know why, but I distinctly remember talking to Trid at the start of 2022. But now that actually it's like
Oh, no
flicked a
way.
switch in my brain. Because I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, why did I forget that? But yeah, you did NA because that was when because I left Contenders in 2020, so I went to Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense because then they combine. It was really weird. Contenders was so weird at that time because there was like there was a big split between
Yes.
NA and EU. There was like because in 2018 we were in Ukraine, like me, Trid, Harry, Des,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sam were in Ukraine, and then in 2020 we were also in Ukraine, but then Sam wasn't there because no desk, and then
Yeah.
2020 came along, and then they merged everything because of COVID, and that was very very weird. Very, very
Yeah, what a weird
strange
time
time.
too. Because that was the year that they were going to go back to the Take TV studio, I think, to do all of the Contenders broadcasts. They got 2 weeks of Contenders,
Yeah.
COVID hit, and then everybody got sent home. Poor Ham Tornado got stuck. Like, she was just stuck
Oh,
in Europe.
in
And so
Europe?
yeah, that was
Christ.
horrible. And so, like, and then I think I took her place because she was working with Trid at the time.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Yeah,
In the
just
EU.
bad times, like, all around. Like,
That
COVID
is
really messed
crazy.
up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like with Contenders as well, there's not like obviously as much money as there is in the Overwatch League. So the Overwatch League is like, okay, we need to fix this like ASAP. They took a little while,
Yeah.
like with every single league in the world. They took a little while to try and get everybody online and shit like that. But damn, yeah, being stuck in EU, I guess it's not the worst place. But then you are, oh man, where's the Take TV studio? What is the place called?
Oh,
Middle of nowhere,
shoot.
Germany, almost. It's not middle of nowhere, but it's.
I mean,
But there's not much to do around
no.
there. All that I know
Yeah,
is then
Crefeld,
there's not much
right?
to do. Krefeld, yes,
Yeah,
Krefeld,
yeah.
Germany, with the Take TV studio. And the only like, I remember doing the Contenders 2019, the Gauntlet, or like the Pacific Showdown or
Yeah.
whatever, and there was a Korean restaurant with a little Korean woman in it, and we were like, okay, we're going to that place because everything everywhere else was like the food was like kind of okay, but like the Korean like little Korean place was sick. I do remember that.
really fun.
What a wild time. Yeah, Krefeld, not much to do there. It's okay. Berlin, epic. Krefeld, it's okay, I guess. It's got Take TV, I
Never
suppose,
been.
but
I've only been to Frankfurt. That's the
oh,
only
Frankfurt.
German
Oh, it's
city
okay,
I've ever
yeah.
been to.
Frankfurt's nice too, to be
I've been
fair.
spoiled.
Yeah. So we'll kind of move on from there then. What happened in 2021? Obviously, that was a year before you joined the league. So what were you doing at that point, like
So that
across
was
the board?
that was a full year of UNNA Contenders,
Right.
and at this point, I had also been picked up by CSA. So that was like my
Oh,
first
okay.
full calendar year with them because I got picked up at the end of 2020, I think. Honestly, I don't remember, but it was also pretty. It felt fast. Like I think it was like a year and a half into doing like actual casting stuff, and then I got picked up, and then I saw just explosions of stuff happen there, and I can't imagine actually that I would be in the exact same place that I am now if I didn't have the ability to do online events. Um, I think I hit the sweet spot. Like, I will be the first to admit that when COVID hit, everything took a hit, right? Every broadcast moved to remote, and that only helped me. I wasn't good
Right.
enough to get flown out. And I understand, like, if there wasn't budget to be able to fly somebody from the East Coast to LA. Like, and so when broadcast turned to be remote, it opened up the doors for literally anybody to be able to do anything, no matter where they were. And so we took full advantage of that. I did Twitch Rivals during 2020. I was also doing TFT at this time. So I had done set 4.5 and I was starting to work through set 5 and I did set 6 as well. Um, and that was 2021. And it was just kind of interesting to see the doors open up in front of me. I also think I also was in a sweet spot in terms of my rate also. I will be
Okay.
very, very upfront about that, where my rate before I went to CSA was not good.
Yeah.
And it was because I wasn't knowledgeable enough to know that what I was asking for at the time, 500 a day, was not enough.
Oh, yeah. That's quite
Like
low. Yeah.
it's low and I didn't know any better. No one had
That's fair.
told me that what I was working on I wasn't getting enough. And the first time that I really ever actually considered that I wasn't getting enough was when CSA helped me bump up my rate, but also when I got to Contenders for the full year of EUNNA in 2021, where we all collectively looked at the salary and went, huh,
This kind of sucks.
huh, this is maybe not enough for the work that is being asked of us. So that was like a big wake up call to me, and then it also opened up the doors for me to have more open communication with the people around me about what they were getting, because at the end of the day, that really only benefits everybody. Like
That's,
it. So I'm happy that I learned that lesson, and I learned it. Oh, sorry,
oh,
I'm
bless
allergic
you.
to bad
No, all
rates.
good.
My God.
Every esports talent.
Yeah, yeah. But it really did open my eyes, and I'm happy to have had that wake up call as quickly as I did.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
I was working on a lot at the time in 2021.
But agents help with that, you know, like
Yeah.
obviously for people who don't know, I'm assuming you can kind of guess. Obviously, agents take a percentage of what you earn, but obviously the negotiation power there with an agent is extremely powerful, and they can help you get gigs and obviously help you bump up rates as well. Invaluable. I'm very thankful for Bad Moon Talent as well. Shout out Bad Moon Talent.
Shout out.
God bless. Yeah, so that's obviously really good for you because you're like, well, this kind of sucks. Like I kind of know now the industry standard, like roughly, right? And you getting up to speed with that kind of thing is rough too, because a lot of casters were in the same position as you, same position as me. I was very lucky to have people in my life and on the casting side of things that were able to help me and be like, that's kind of shitty, because I only had an agent at the beginning of 2021. That was when I had an agent. I didn't have it for Overwatch League when I first started, although they didn't try and mess me around at all in 2020. So obviously I'm very thankful for the Overwatch League for that, but they do help at the end of the day. That's, it's a big benefit on your side. So obviously you did EU and NA Contenders at that point, and then 2022 is when you got brought onto the Overwatch League. Obviously we casted together in North America. We did a ton of live events together. We did goddamn playoffs. Like that was one of the highlights of my Overwatch career so far, me personally, was doing the playoffs. That was unbelievable. Didn't get the chance to do it a live event live playoff scenario in 2020, 2021. No way near doing that. And then, yes, that was really awesome. And it was obviously super sick to do it with you too, because when we're doing live events, we were talking about this a little bit before we just started, but man, they were fun. My God.
Yes.
Toronto was so sick. One of my favorite events by far.
It was so much fun because especially, I guess from my perspective, one, I had missed out on the first one of the year. I got COVID and I wasn't testing negative by that time. So Custa, I'm so happy he was able to go and like take my place because I could tell how much fun he was having with it too. And I was like, no, like I want to make sure
You're
that
like
I
jealous?
have that experience also. Yeah, it's like a jealous and like I'm happy for my friend kind of way, but also like, man, that looks so fun. And like, I wish I could be there to also have that type of fun with everybody. But it's like when Toronto came around, I was really pumped because I had missed out on that first event of the year. And I had been dreaming about this 4 years in the making. I'm finally getting to a point where I get to cast a live event in front of a crowd, an Overwatch crowd.
Yeah, they're pretty wacky.
A fan base they're just like, we're so blessed to have so many good fans in the Overwatch space. And to be able to experience that, I like got really emotional because it was just, that is the full body experience again, but on a completely different level because you are speaking for the crowd. Like you are there to entertain these people that love this game as much or maybe even more than you do. Like you just never know where that falls.
Yeah.
And
it's
like
crazy.
there are super fans out there that like, we love you guys. Like thank you for loving the game so much. But it meant a lot to be able to do that, not just to have that first experience, but to also have that first experience with you, like a caster that I had looked up to for like so long.
Well, I appreciate that.
So I don't know, it's just like multiple fronts. It was like just such a unique experience.
Yeah, the fans, like, they make it. They really do. I want to emphasize that. Like, god damn. The one fan I will always remember, the, like, 9-foot fucking Outlaws warlord. Gee, like, the tallest man I've ever seen. Shout out to that guy if you're listening to this. Good lord.
He's taller than Johnny, isn't he?
I'm like, yeah, oh, easily, yeah. Yeah. We're both like, yo, what's up?
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
hello.
absolute legend.
How you doing?
Pretty sure he was at playoffs too. I'm 99% sure he was at playoffs. So yeah, the tall dude.
I think we actually confirmed at playoffs that he's taller than Johnny, which is insane.
Johnny's a tall motherfucker, a tall Northern European dude, and this guy was even taller than that, which is like insane. It's but it was really nice to see. Obviously, all the fans and stuff. We took photos, which was great, and that kind of setup we had is definitely one of my favorite ones. We, for those people who didn't know, or like didn't go to the event or whatever, we were upper level. So is it an ice hockey rink or something? It's like a rink, or like it's a
Yeah, it looks
stage,
like a
or
basketball court.
yeah.
Or yeah,
But it's like a
that type of
multifunctional
arena.
one where they can just change it to whoever they want. Obviously, we hold an Overwatch event there, but there's the main stage. There's a lot of seats kind of in front of that, and then there's people sitting on the bleachers, I guess. And then we're like upper tier from like the normal like raised seats, and then we're on a little platform, TVs, lights, and whatnot. And then behind us is the stage, the main screen stuff, so we can like literally turn around and see it. Like that's my favorite kind of event.
Cool.
Same with playoffs as well. We're like in a little pod,
Yeah.
and then the stage is kind of behind us. And yeah, obviously they got to make it look good on camera, and they do every time. And man, it's just a different feeling. It's
Really is.
it's sick. I love that event. Yeah, 2022 obviously long gone at this point. It feels like we are 3 months in. Obviously, Overwatch League starts in a couple of weeks, Pro-Am, which is going to be super fun. Crazy stuff's happening right now, at least with Pro-Am and a lot of teams, so that'll be kind of sick. Let's move away from Overwatch just a little bit, because we do share like a ton of passions as well. Like obviously we're both madly into Pokemon too, which is really cool. Obviously casting, because then it was like, okay, we talk about Pokemon stuff too. It's all, I sent you a screenshot the other day with stuff that I pulled on stream. I was like, check this out.
Which was so sick, really cool. By the way. That Sylveon Altart is so good.
Altart VMAX, the character rare. I was like,
so good.
It was crazy card. I love that. I love the new Pokemon sets. They're freaking awesome.
So good.
It's when did you start collecting cards? Because we've kind of had this discussion before ourselves, but let's quickly dive into that, because
oh no,
good god, the amount, I think you spend more money than me on cards, holy moly. But like with the amount collectively we spend, we could maybe afford a small country. Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it. I looked at my credit card statements last year.
You're like, nope. Anyway, throw that out the window.
I know. I'm like, I actually need to cut back. Like, it was becoming like a problem that I was spending far too much on Pokemon merchandise. I mean, look at
it.
Like,
audio listeners.
It's not even everything. It's
unlucky.
Not everything.
You cannot see. Yeah, for those people who are audio listeners on Spotify and Apple Music right now, there is giant Funko Pop Pikachu, a million Evolutions plushes, some Evolution. Oh, that's okay. Umbreon GX box, Espion GX box, all of the. Oh my god, I needed those boxes. The Vaporeon Alt Art ones, the Jolteon. I missed my chance on that one. Pokemon Go. There's a hella box sets everywhere. Rose's background.
You can't see also that I have 2 giant plushies.
Oh, the life-size plushies. God.
Yeah,
damn.
I've got the Lucario over here. I have a Kyogre decal that's like on my whole wall. And I also have the giant Mareep up in the top corner.
Oh, the Mareep, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where my paychecks go.
Yeah.
Just for anybody that's curious, what I spend my money on, food.
If anybody's curious where all of my wages go, you can see them in this one shot.
Yeah.
Rose's background does clear. I will say, though, it's a problem when you have to go on a broadcast and they're like, you can't have anything like brand related in the background. And you're like, well, my whole brand is right there. So
my whole I actually followed the trend that we started in Contenders, because there's a few of us that got these like big wall screens, like the dividers.
Oh yeah,
so I have
right.
ones that I will put up to be able to cover my backdrop.
It clears. It honestly clears. I only got a green screen. Sometimes they're like, hey, could you take down that Futurama poster? I'm like, no, I don't think I can. Hey, that movie poster, you can't have that in the shot. It's like, well, like, I don't know. I have to get a room divider or a green screen or something to cover that up. But yeah,
at
your background
was
clear.
Cheap. It was like $30.
Yeah,
so it's well worth the purchase.
Yeah, well worth it, so you can still cast other games that don't allow other merchandise in the background. That's sick.
Oh,
yeah, there's definitely a fine line between like, it's funny because I'm always like, I spend too much money on this hobby, but then you're like, well, I enjoy it, and there's that fine line of like, oh, maybe I spend an entire month's wages on buying these two things. Like, I'm very much into like the vintage market, as well as the new stuff. They've been coming out with a ton of new stuff recently, though, like hammering it out, and it's difficult to keep up, I'd say, some of the time, especially since like, oh god, okay, do I need to wait till I get paid next month? Like, and obviously with esports and stuff, it's all over the place. So yeah, it's there's that fine line. But damn, even the vintage stuff over the last couple of years obviously has risen in price. And for me, I'm trying to slowly complete EX Team Rocket Returns, and I need 2 cards from EX Team Rocket Returns now. But guess
That's
what?
it?
They're the most expensive ones. So
Oh, come on.
need the gold stars.
Oh no. Oh,
Not going to get
okay.
those
Yeah.
for less than like $600 each.
Oh, that's a lot.
And I don't even want
Yeah.
to buy the graded ones. I want to buy them raw, but I can't because everybody grades those cards. So I'm like, oh man, I could put this towards something else more productive, but they are so cool. I love shiny
I
cardboard.
I look at it this way, right? Pokemon is one of those types of collectibles that it feels like an investment in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I like the so like a lot of the things that I actually have in my collection, I could see them appreciating in value.
Yeah.
And so when I do spend money on this kind of stuff, I look at it as like I am buying something that I want. And maybe it will have the secondary effect in the future that if I decide that I want to be done with this hobby, then
Sell
maybe
it
I
on.
get something for some of
Yeah.
the stuff that I have. Like I have a you can actually see it in the shot. It's this one. This
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
That that
isn't that
that is that's
Evolutions?
XY Evolution's unopened ETB.
Not bad.
So, and
By
it's
the
like
way,
in sealed box too.
I want to rant. They should not be that expensive. Evolutions was one of the most printed sets of all time. They should not be
I know.
expensive. As expensive as
No,
like some of the other random sets like around that era. It makes no sense. Like X and Y base, sure that's expensive, sure. But they also print a shit ton of other X and Y sets that have like the Fusion Furious Fist and stuff like that. Sure, they're expensive. They probably weren't printed as much. But Evolutions, why? Why are you so expensive? It makes no sense.
and
Market
the
value, why?
cards like out of the packs are
They zero.
worthless.
Yeah,
They are
actually,
worthless.
which doesn't make any sense because normally a card's a sealed booster pack or like sealed product, the intrinsic value is linked to the rarity of the cards inside and how expensive those cards are. Evolution's the complete opposite way around. The cards inside
Yeah,
worthless because there are so many of them.
anomaly.
Yet the booster packs, the sealed ones, they are just unbelievable amounts of money because even the regular Holo Charizard isn't a lot. Like it's not expensive. Compared to like other cards around that era that were rarer. I don't
That's
know.
true.
It's very silly, but that is definitely down to the like 2020 hype beast NFT like collectible streamer opening and burning card like that is definitely linked to
Yeah.
that, which was a
Oh, what a
depressing time for
domino effect.
collectors.
Oh my god.
I know, and we're
Yeah.
still feeling the repercussions of it, right?
Yeah.
Which sucks. But the Pokemon Company now own their own printing factory, so
That's true.
they can
Shout
just
out to
keep
Millennium
hammering out.
Print.
Millennium Print Group. Oh yeah, they print money. It is insane. Well, I mean, when you speak of printing money, Pokemon is the biggest media franchise of all time.
True.
And next to that is Hello Kitty. But Hello Kitty, yeah, I know, which is crazy for the West, right? But like Hello Kitty is the second most profitable.
People don't even know.
I
The
know.
fandom
Bet
that
they laugh.
surrounds Hello Kitty is insane. Like
Ludicrous.
oh my god. Like I remember I had like a little Hello Kitty doll when I was younger. And I was just like, she's so cute. Like I love this. Like what a cute little plushie. Like so happy I have it. I didn't think about it anymore until I realized that there is a plane. There is an entire Hello Kitty branded
Yep.
plane like themed. All the stewardesses wear like Hello Kitty uniforms and the plane is pink inside. Like
Pretty wicked.
what the
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
Like that's
That
nuts.
exists. It's crazy how much that kind of stuff rakes in again, because it's definitely more of like it's like more focused on the Japanese market. Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty still exists in the West, but it's not as big as
Yeah.
you wouldn't. Obviously, Pokemon's bigger overall, but you wouldn't say it's like anywhere near Pokemon's level of popularity, at least in the West.
No.
It's just mind-boggling amounts of money that those brands are worth, and Pokemon is only getting bigger too, which is also the
Yeah.
crazy thing. A thing from the 90s that you were like, oh, let me just open this base set pack, you know? Like, if I could tell to be fair, if I could tell my younger self to not open those packs, I probably wouldn't even do that. I'd be like, just open them, enjoy them while you can. Just carry on your life.
Imagine just imagine also trying to like like convince yourself as like a 5-year-old kid to not
Yeah, good
open
luck.
something.
Good luck. There's no way.
It's not happening.
The child is
So
going to instantly open that even faster and destroy the cards inside, like even quicker, you know, like. Luckily, I was a very precious child and I loved keeping things neat and immaculate. So I did make sure all of my cards, even though I didn't have sleeves, I had binder sleeves, like 9
there
pocket
you go.
pages. But yeah, all my stuff, not bad condition when I found it in the loft a few years ago, like quite a few years ago now, maybe like 10 years ago. But god damn, what a trip. And you know something I thought about the other day? I saw Leon Hart post some pictures of diamond and pearl blisters. I have a video of me opening a diamond pearl blister and I'm like, oh my god, diamond and pearl base, I could just get those randomly at shops and now they're worth like this much. Obviously, again, I'm very much in the camp of I enjoyed it then. I'm not going to beat myself up because, oh my god, okay, this is like actual rant time now about old shit, but I've opened very expensive booster boxes that were not expensive at the time, and now I'm like, should I have saved them or should I have enjoyed them at the moment? But I'm like, that was a wise idea, me opening them and enjoying them, and me enjoying the cards now and having, oh, I pulled this card, like I really love this card, I pulled this card, you know. It's not really something I can, in my head I'm like, I want to beat myself up about it, but it's not worth it.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can because I feel like as soon as you have put in a monetary value that is like more than what you would consider like an appropriate amount, like if there's a monetary value on something that you think is excessive, you feel actually, in my opinion, and like my experience, you feel even more pressure to get something from it.
Yes.
So like whether
Definitely.
it is opening up the rare card or like just saving it forever and then hope that you make money back on your purchase or whatever it is, that there's more stakes at that point where you are more easy to disappoint yourself rather than just enjoying the experience as you had it. So
100%. It's a weird mindset I think people get into because it's like us, right? Like we love the hobby, we love Pokemon, we love opening packs. But then, like you said, if you apply a monetization, if you apply a monetary value to that one thing and you're like, oh God, why would I do that? Like, I should just not touch it. I should just leave it, maybe appreciate value over the next 5 years. But then you're like, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this for them to appreciate and value? Or am I doing this because I just enjoy the hobby? I just enjoy the hobby and I love collecting cards. Like, it kind of ruins it for you in a way, putting that monetary value. And like, you know, my grandmother always used to say, your money's there to be spent, right? Like spend your money on your hobbies as much as you want because you're going to enjoy those. And if you reach 50 years old, if you reach 80 years old, 90 years old, and you've got $1 million in the bank, $2 million in the bank, you're going to die with it. So what's the point? So you might as well kind of spend money on your hobbies. That's how I justify it. And I'm enjoying myself now with me spending almost $200 on fish tank plants, you know, like I'm like, oh, that's too much. And I'm like, nah, I enjoy it. Like it's
it's like, I think that's really an important thing to do in your life. Like I am totally with you that yes, I have spent more money than I care to admit on opening up card packs. Yeah, I know. But you know, I still enjoy it. And so I can be happy with myself knowing that I'm like cutting back. I'm ordering only 2/3 of the product that I
Hey, that's good.
Right?
That's
like,
progress.
It's progress. It's actual progress. But it's like I still enjoy it. So I don't mind putting a little bit more of like the money that I work hard to earn towards something that like makes me happy. So
exactly. It feels nice to like, hey, I earned this money. And to like circle all the way back to the very beginning of this kind of this deep dive was like, hey, would you believe as a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever that you'd be doing what you do right now? Probably not. You'd be like, that's so stupid. What the hell? Like, hey, you're still opening Pokemon. You know, if I told my younger self opening up base set and jungle packs in my grandparents' car as we drive to school or we drive to their home, like, you're going to still be opening them, by the way, when you are 29. My younger self would be like, what? Pokemon's not going to be around, you know?
No way.
It's
no way.
It's really funny. Do you have any like very specific memories of like early Pokemon, or like anything around gaming as well? To be fair, that you just can't get out of your head. I know I have a couple that are like those memories are never leaving me. And like Pokemon has been that thing that I remember from my childhood.
You go first.
Okay.
I need to think about this one, but I really want to know what your favorite memories are.
I have a memory of opening it was either a 2-player or a 1-player starter deck, I'd have to look it up, that had the first edition Machamp in it. And it was like the only first edition card in the pack, but like it wasn't like true first edition. Everybody had it, right? And it wasn't even shadowless. It wasn't like a true first edition card. And it was opening that, and it was in my grandparents' old white Peugeot, 4-door Peugeot. And I was turned round. You know where like the boot is, or the trunk, and then you have that thing that covers it so you don't like fall in. It was just on that, like laying out the cards and then having that Machamp and being like, man, that's a cool card. Like, man. And then also getting a Team, which I still have the box for, by the way, a Team Rocket Devastation, I think it was. Team Rocket Devastation deck that came with the Dark Weezing or Dark Arbok. One of the two. And I always remember the Dark Weezing because that card does not look holographic. I'm sorry, Pokemon Cup, or Wizard of the Coast at the time. I'm sorry, Wizards. That card is not holographic. Compared that to every other card that you made, that card is the least shiny bit of cardboard I've ever seen. If anybody has a Team Rocket, original Team Rocket, Dark Weezing, look at it right now. Tell me that's holographic, please. It's not. It's very, like, oh, it's slightly shiny. It's not like you can actually see all the sparkles and stuff. Like, come on. You can do better than that. Christ.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay, I don't have any card related ones. I wish I did, because I remember actually opening up a few of the base set packs because I found my old cards tied together with a rubber band.
Classic.
It's like I didn't even realize
and
what they would be.
I should take that off.
I know, I so cringe, like so cringe. Because I look at that and I go, nah, I wish I had the forethought to like not do that.
Yeah, or penny sleeves or something to keep them.
Literally anything.
I'm assuming your rubber band wasn't like dried out or anything, because that would just, mine weren't, and that would have destroyed the cards if the rubber band had dried out, because they just sticked it. Oh, thank God.
It was okay. It was okay. If anything, it would have only ruined like the top one, like the back of the top one, or like the front one. But it was fine. I actually don't know what I did with them. I don't know where they are.
They're somewhere in your brain.
They're somewhere back there. But my first memory was actually it was the shiny Gyarados that you could catch in the lake.
Oh yeah,
and I
like a rage,
seeing it. Yeah, I remember seeing it, and I was like, "What is this?
That's the wrong color.
Gyarados.
What the hell?
Why is it red? Like, what is happening right now?" And then I got really excited because I started to realize like what shiny Pokemon were, and I was like, no way! Like, I got a shiny Pokemon. Like, is it supposed to be this color? And then I come to find out that everybody and their mother has this one. It was literally supposed to be that way. But
unfortunately, you were not special, and we were not special. Damn.
But it's like interesting to see the evolution of finding that one as your very first shiny Pokemon, and then generations later, I ran into just like full odds shiny Dustox.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was in Heart Gold, I want to say. So I found one of those, and like that was a super neat experience because at that point I was old enough to realize, no, this is not normal. And so that was neat. Come to Let's Go Pikachu, or I had Eevee, duh.
Yeah,
Let's Go
obviously.
Eevee. I found a shiny Doduo running around, so that was awesome. And now I shiny hunt. And so it's kind of neat to see my first experience go from everybody has this one to, hey, wait a minute. No,
hey, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, like that's neat.
I'm assuming you went through the same train of thought I went through as well. It must be a glitch. Like, it's gotta be a glitch. Is my game, but oh my God, my game's corrupted. I'm gonna lose my save. Like, you know, that kind of panic. Because my friend, the first, apart from Red Gyarados, I don't know what I thought about Red Gyarados when I first saw it. I was clearly like, oh, that's just a special one, I guess. I don't know, because maybe I did run into more shinies as a kid. I just don't know. But a friend of mine caught an Aron in his copy of Ruby, and it had red
Oh,
eyes, which is the shiny version. Because the for some reason
yeah.
the Aron sprite is exactly the same, it just has red eyes. And he was like,
Yes.
"That's super weird." And he like showed me, and I was like, "Wow, it looks like a glitch or something." Like I don't know what that is. Both of us, clueless individuals, didn't realize it was shiny. He probably still has the Aron if he still has his cartridge, but he
Awesome.
didn't evolve it because he was afraid it would go away. So he just
Very
had
cool.
the red eyes Aron, and then I think at one point in a restart of Sapphire, I ended up finding a shiny Puccina on like my first like hour or two into the game, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, and I think at that point I kind of
Yeah.
knew, or maybe I was like slightly clued up. I'm not sure, but I caught it, and I still have it. Like that, I haven't evolved it into a Mighty Enna. It's still and I still have it on my Sapphire. I haven't got it with me. It's back in the UK, but I still have my shiny Puccina.
That's so
And I had
cool.
also shiny Zigzagoon at one point, and then Let's Go was like the easiest game to have shinies in. So I just like, oh, shiny Ponyta and stuff, and that was pretty sweet. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
awesome.
Shiny Pokemon was sick. And it reminds me of the like way back in like internet memes as well. You probably saw them too, where it's like, oh, like when people make real life rats or mice look like Pikachu and stuff. It's like, whoa, a shiny
Oh
real
yeah.
life Pokemon. Like, whoa, like old internet memes. Like,
Oh my
I
God.
look back at that stuff and I cringe. Like, oh, that was funny back then. Rage comics, Pog, like troll face. Like, dude, come on,
Yes.
that was not funny.
You know what's like so interesting is that having the knowledge that I do now about like science, wildlife, all of that jazz, I can actually see the thought process that goes behind finding these sprites. So like my ultimate favorite shiny duo is Clawitzer.
Oh,
Now,
okay,
Clawitzer is
interesting.
like he's not a pistol shrimp. I mean, maybe he is, but he looks like a lobster, right? Looks like a lobster. He's blue. His shiny's red,
Yeah, which is the opposite of what happens in real life.
which is so cool though,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
sick.
it's really really neat to see them put some of that attention to detail in the shinies that come through. Or like when even not even just talking about shinies, but you look at some of the Pokemon, you're like, "Huh, I kind of know what you're based on." Like that's really really neat. To have that knowledge too to be able to pull back on you can look at and I think appreciate the design and the thought process that goes into each individual detail like way more.
Yeah, and shiny versions of real life things are like just slightly different colors, like lobsters, blue and
Yeah.
blue lobsters, for example, or like white whales. Like they're just white because that's just how it worked out. I guess their DNA or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I wouldn't say I'm like super clued up on like the biology side of things and stuff, but like when it comes to fish, I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of like see where you're going. And Sharpedo was one of my favorite Pokemon
Yeah.
in Gen 3 for obvious reasons. Yeah, I always loved Sharpedo, and I thought it was cool too because obviously it was Duo type, right? It was water and dark. Or was it water and dark? Or was
Yeah.
it pure water? Oh my god.
Sharpedo? No, Sharpedo
Sharpedo
was
is
water
definitely dual
dark.
type, right? Yeah, because he can
Yeah,
learn
yeah, yeah.
crunch and yeah, stuff like that. And I always
Yeah.
found that really cool because edgy child dark Pokemon are the coolest. Like oh
And
Pog,
your name is
like
Jaws now, so.
it's pretty sick, pretty sick. Okay, that's actually an interesting topic. I thought I remember, but thankfully you just reminded me. But where does Nekkra come from? I think you've told me this before, but I want people to understand why or where it comes from.
So oh man, this is so cringy because like I feel like as a teenage girl, I was like I like there's a there's more reason behind this, but I was like a teenage girl that was like, oh, wolves are my favorite animal. Wow, cringy like that feels so cringe. Um, but the reason why I actually liked wolves as one of my favorite animals is because of the study that I had read about the wolves in Yellowstone National Park. That
Oh,
was
okay.
the first scientific study that I had ever read. A very introductory study into species control and just population dynamics. That was why we learned it in middle school, high school, whenever that was. And so when I was coming up with gamer tags, I wanted something that was meaningful to me. My original one was Rosemarinus, which is the Latin
Oh, okay,
name for rosemary. And
that's
so,
cool.
because like I was like learning plants at the time, I was learning Latin. So it made a lot of sense to try to do that. And then I was like, but that's so
By the
like
way, that does sound like a
basic.
Pokemon. Rosemarina. It does, right? Because
It does.
Roserade, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of, if Roserade had an evolution line, like a full evolution line, boom. I mean, it does evolve into, wait, yeah, it does. It evolves, it gets into
Roserade is the
Roserade.
final.
And then
Yeah,
if
because
that evolved, boom,
you're
Rosemarina.
right. Oh my God, you're so right. I didn't even realize that. But like at the time, I really thought it was so basic. I was like, well, what is the point of me having this tag? Because everybody else is like they're a different person. Like it,
Yeah,
all right,
right.
yeah. You think that like Swagmaster, like 66 or whatever, and at least
420 Death Killer. Yeah.
yeah, like but at least it's something that's not their name. And so I kind of like the anonymity also behind having a tag that was I thought was cool enough that also I could just be whoever I wanted. Like people wouldn't judge me just because
Yeah.
I have a tag that it is my name.
Yeah.
Just a
That's
different
fair, no.
language. So I based that study to look at I still kept to the theme of trying to figure out ways to say wolf but in a different language. And so I found this obscure dialect that they speak in India.
Oh, okay.
And so I found wolf and I took out like an H and I think I added a K and Nekkra was born.
Wow, okay. So derived from another language and then you flipped a few letters and
Yeah.
there you go. And then it's been with you ever since. Because Nekkra is like, I can't think of any other kind of word ever that, and obviously with social handles, they have to be unique. So it's just like, no one, who's going to be called Nekkra? You know what I mean? Like no one's going to take that tag. So, I mean, it kind of helped you later on in the down the line, even though you didn't realize it did.
I did not do that on purpose.
Yeah.
So the thing about my name, which is so crazy, is that I didn't pick this with any other intention in mind than just having a cool gamer tag.
Yeah.
And there will definitely
Worked
be
out.
people out there like, this is lame. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I like it. So your opinion doesn't matter.
I have to live with it. You don't, so.
Yeah, it's my name. So like it works out because an anagram of it is Kraken.
Oh,
So
it
that's
is. That's wicked.
yeah.
Okay, I like that.
And I kind of like that. It's super sick, right? Krakens are neat animals or mythology or whatever you have. And so I have I have that. Actually, I have 3 different profiles on my Switch. I have Nekkra for my main profile. I have Arkin, which is the name backwards.
Oh, yeah. Which is also kind of a cool name.
Yeah,
Arkin.
I like it because it's like Arcanine.
Yeah.
And so that's weird how that worked out. So I'll have that, but I also have Kraken for all like my crackhead bullshit that I like to do on like a random account.
Very fair.
But it worked out because it's like we've got so many different iterations of my name have just turned out to be very funny. So like during Halloween, a neck rip, like neck.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P. It's like and there's just like so many different ways that I feel like my name has just worked out to be very funny that I'm like such a big fan of. So
yeah, I was just super lucky that it kind of you were just like as a kid you were like, oh, that's pretty sweet, and it just worked out actually super well.
Nekkra is my favorite.
I cannot have jaws on anything. It's the most like it is one of the more generic things of all time, and they're like, oh, you just like the film? Oh, it's my initials. So
well, yeah, but like, did you know, like, if you had known now about the I guess the commonality of it because of the movie, would you have changed your name?
I don't know, because maybe because the first name I had was like edgy teenage Warhammer boy was like Chaos something. So I probably wouldn't have had that. Thank God I didn't have that. But I only used that for one thing, like this text-based adventure game online. Like I only used it for that one thing, and I never used it again. And it's got to be my mum or my dad that helped me come up with it. Because yeah, like I said, it's just my initials. So I don't. Because I definitely used it on original Xbox, and like PlayStation 2 profiles, maybe not profiles for like the PlayStation 2, but like in-game profiles. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have changed it. I like it because I also like sharks, so that's kind of cool. They're my favorite animal, and like I like the ocean and shit like that. So I don't know. maybe I
It
would
has
have.
multiple layers to it that I feel like
Yeah.
just work really well for you.
Yeah, and I can't really change it now. I always kind of think like, oh, I could change name technically, right? But then it's like all my branding, like, oh, you Google like Jaws Overwatch and it comes out of like all my stuff, or like Jaws Caster or Casting or Casts. Like it comes, it's just easier to have like a unified thing all over the place. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's also not as like Mitch has the same problem where it's like Uber, great, okay, so Uber the fucking car service, like, yeah, okay, sweet, yeah. Or like Avast with Avast antivirus, but like he actually gets harassed by the company. Like at least I'm not
Oh,
like,
that's right.
at least
Oh
I'm
my
not getting
God.
rolled by Warner Brothers or whoever owns Jaws, the Jaws
Yeah.
film. Not yet, at least. I really hope they don't fucking send a letter to me saying I have to change my goddamn name because it's infringing their copyright. It's just a nickname. It's not anything else. I just like, look, I'm just chilling
It's
over
not like
here.
it's not official branding that you're getting paid for. I don't know. It's tough.
Well, yeah, exactly right. It's weird, but it's like you can just call me Jack. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
There you
just a
go.
nickname. Haha. Like, you can't sue me for that, right? Like,
I don't think
says
so.
that. I mean, maybe down the future, but
Check your email in like
yeah, I
2
know. I'm like,
3
okay, well, like maybe I'm getting sued right now. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Jaws is fine. I think that's a really cool story from you. Like you said, it ended up working out really well, and your name could be like morphed into like many different things.
Yeah, for sure,
That's
for
pretty sweet.
sure.
I like Arkin
So
as well. Actually, I didn't realize your name backwards because mine's just Swag. Like that's nothing.
it's
That's
like
not cool.
swag.
Swag. It's like swag, but without the fucking G. It's a J.
I like
So dumb.
it.
So dumb. All right.
Oh
Well,
man.
Rose, it's honestly been a pleasure. If there's anything you want to like shout out or anything you want to say at the very end here, just go right
Oh
ahead. The floor is yours, and yeah,
man,
we'll just round this out.
can't think of anything. Shout out to the Overwatch community. Shout out to the awesome 2022 that we got a chance to have together. Shout out to my dog. He's pretty great.
Pretty
Uh,
sick.
and yeah, I think that's about it.
Cool.
This has been
Well,
a blast. Thank you.
yeah, no, I'm glad to have you on. Honestly, it's been obviously it was a fun year, cast in 2022, and it's nice to sit down, like just have a kind of chill and chat and just talk about bullshit. So that's awesome. All Rose's social media and whatnot will be in the description on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, thanks so much for listening.
And it's
And,
so easy. It's just
is
Nekkra.
exactly, it's just Nekkra, super easy to follow as well. So there you go. All that will be down in the comment, or sorry, in the description and whatnot. But thanks so much, Rose, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.